Thursday, January 16th, and it is great to have you back here on Damon Bruce Plus. Thank you for joining me. Hit like and subscribe, all these good things. It makes the channel grow. It makes the live stream get pushed out when you hit the like, when you hit the subscribe. And for those of you who are watching live as this live stream is actually happening, yeah, something left of center happened. We started a little later than we normally do today because I was working on a little something, a little video that will be up on the channel a little bit later this week. I had an interview to tape, and so that's what I was doing. Had Smiley Dan get in here saying this is basically like showing up to homeroom and the teacher's not here yet. So I hopefully, you haven't been waiting too long for me, but thank you for waiting for me. It's great to have you. As always, we are brought to you by Ike's Sandwiches. That's the man with the plan right there. He's got a delicious sandwich he wants to put in your mouth, put me in your mouth. The Damon Bruce is a fantastic sandwich, if you don't mind me saying. You are going to like me. You're going to want to eat me. Look at that. Come on, go get yourself a Damon Bruce. Wash it down with a great Dubliner West Portal Guinness, the best Guinness pour in San Francisco happening at the Dubliner West Portal. Go say hi to Kenny and John for me. Always love those guys. Those are my kind of guys. And let me tell you, if you got to do a little wagering, make sure you do it over on BetUS, today's sponsor of the live stream. Use promo code YouTube150 when you sign up. You will get 150% sign up deposit bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000. Now, if you don't mind me saying, to match the theme of the thumbnail of today's show, when you are making those bets, lay off Bay Area teams. Good God. What a bunch of stuck in the mud, spinning the wheels, paralysis by analysis, sports franchises we seem to have around us right here and now. It is not a great time for Bay Area sports. It isn't. Let's just be totally honest. Things have been better around here than they are right now, and I thought we'd go ahead and we'd go over them one by one. You want some misery? Let's go ahead. Let's work on a little freaking misery for today's show. Are you ready? Here we freaking go. Hold on. Wait, before we go, I see we officially have Barry in here. Bang, bang, happy birthday, 49er Barry. If it's not too early, I'd love to do a bottle pull with all of you. Love my plusers. Barry, we love you in Memphis. We love Mary in Memphis. And let me tell you, I was thinking about you, and I do know it's Barry's birthday. Let's have a little fun before we get into the misery of Bay Area sports and celebrate Barry's birthday. I got an old, look at it this way. We went back to the way back. I got some Blackened, one of our original sponsors. See, even though you may not be sponsoring the show, you're never out of the circle of love. I wish I had an Uncle Boy's cheeseburger right here to prove that as well. But Barry, when I think about loyal audience members and folks who have been there since day one, Barry in Memphis, you are one of them, brother. Here's to you, a veteran of our United States military, a radio veteran, which probably left him more battered than the military. We thank you so much, Barry. The crowd loves you. I wish you can make it someday from a Memphis to a Plus Mania. Maybe we'll have to do a Plus Mania on Beale Street sometime, but here's a shot for you and a bottle pull for your birthday. Fresh bottle, just opened. Here we go. Ha, 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 ha. There we go, Barry. Happy birthday, man. Happy birthday to you. Dun, 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 dun. We got to take care of the audience. Look at everybody wishing Barry a very happy birthday. Yeah, this was Smiley Dan was saying. It's like we all got to homeroom and the teacher isn't quite here yet. Well, I'm here now. So let's get to it. Let's hop in here. Because these Bay Area franchises, God bless them. You know, I believe in the South, they would look at all these franchises and they'd just say, bless your heart, which is the Southern equivalent of saying, you douchebags. We'll start with the most important team we got in Northern California, and that's the San Francisco 49ers. And if we're being completely honest, the 49ers got a little bit of a stepchild complex. They feel good, but not good enough. They know that they were competing, but not for the ultimate prize. And this year, it's been a step in the wrong direction. And you can't live up to the Chiefs. You can't live up to last year's Niner memories, much less the Chiefs. You got moving parts. You got Brock Purdy, salary, anxiety, just, lording over half the fan base at all times. For what reasons, I do not know, because the tickets that you pay for are not affected by Brock Purdy's salary. Like, it's, but people worry about their franchise's money in a cap sport and the fortunes and how it's being spent and the anxiety that comes with Kyle Shanahan at all times, and good faith content creators and bad faith content creators, and just the noise that the NFL gets and all the noise around the San Francisco 49ers. It's rough being close to the ultimate prize, but not being able to actually touch it. And that's why 49ers fans feel so stuck in the mud. And now here we are at a huge moment in time in their franchise's history, right? I mean, this offseason is going to be the difference between this regime stays on course, trying to put it back together and win big, or it will be the official beginning of the disintegration of the Kyle Shanahan era, hot seats for real once and for all. What a massive offseason is coming up for the San Francisco 49ers. But based on levels of complaining, noise, anxiety, frustration, and feeling abandoned because they didn't even make the playoffs this year, it's rough being a 49er fan, and it's wearing people down. It is absolutely wearing people down to the nub, rooting for the 49ers. And that brings us to the Golden State Warriors. You got indisputably the greatest player in franchise history, and right now he is stuck in the middle of an NBA competitive life cycle. And you can hear the frustrations of where the Warriors are bubbling to the surface with the post-game comments and the Steve Kerr snippier with the media than usual interviews and press conferences that he's giving. And it feels like, the problems with the Warriors have nothing to do with Steph Curry, but this team's inability to craft the right supporting cast around him, which was the strength, right? I mean, that's what the Warriors were really, really good at. But for whatever reason, they've had a lot of trouble becoming good at that again. And, they keep on insisting that they've got this experiment that they're running, that they don't want to mortgage the future in the name of ending this experiment, but there's not a lot of present in this experiment, nor do I think this experiment, even if it were to show itself and reveal itself a little in the present, suggests that the future is going to be grand and bright. I mean, when you're talking about young assets on this team, there's only one that really matters. And that's Jonathan Kuminga. I hear Kerr and Curry saying things. It's like they're doing Joe Lacob's talking points for him. When they're saying things like, well, you don't want to mortgage the next 5, 6, 7 drafts in the name of chasing something that might not be there. Look, nobody's saying you got to make the trade for Giannis. But for God's sakes, do something other than nothing, because it's been like 2 years of nothing. It's 2 years. This feels like history repeating itself. This feels like, really paralysis by overanalysis. And instead of doing something, you did nothing, and you officially got nothing to show for it. You don't need to make a trade that changes the arc and the DNA of the franchise. You just need to make a trade to get somebody else who can throw in 15 points a night to help your boy out. That's what you need. That's what you need. The Warriors hold on for dear life in Minnesota, a game that I thought that they were going to lose, and a game they certainly tried to give away late in that fourth quarter. But my God, pretty good win, all things considering. You had no Kuminga, you had no Draymond Green. Look, if the secret is Buddy Hield score at least 18, and that seems to be a winning formula, when Buddy Hield scores 18 or more, the Warriors are 10-0 this year. Again, you don't need Giannis to have the other guy dropping 18. It's tough scoring 18 in the NBA, but it's also not the biggest unreasonable, got to mortgage your entire future to find that guy. Fuck. It's like you're making it harder than it needs to be. Just make a trade that changes the temperature of the room. We're not asking for a full room teardown reconstruction. Just do something other than doing nothing, because, I guess I would understand the level of extreme patience being exercised here. If I thought it was going to result in something, I'm going to tell you that the Warriors, as they are currently constructed, are the most middled, dead on arrival NBA team in this league right now. You are built to win between 38 and 42 games, and that gets you nowhere. It doesn't get you into the postseason with any vim or vigor. It doesn't get you a draft pick that you really matter, that can change it's just you're stuck in the middle, and there is no worse place to be in the NBA than in the middle. So we got that going on in terms of spinning tires here in the Bay Area. And, I guess that brings us to the San Francisco Giants, doesn't it? Baseball might not be what it used to be, but it's still the third biggest story out here in the Bay. There's no doubt in my mind that it is. And look, the Giants, what a pain in the ass they've become. But for the Colorado Rockies, they're the worst team in their own division. Seriously. When was that ever an acceptable neighborhood to be living in for the San Francisco Giants? But for the Rockies, you're worst. You got the Dodgers redefining baseball greatness in real time. You got the Padres who, think that they're a force to be reckoned with now. Time will tell. We'll see if they can keep that together. But Padres seem to be more invested into competing directly with the Dodgers right now than the Giants do. You got the Diamondbacks, a more talented, younger force of nature to be dealing with right now, and they're spending money in a way that, when it came to Corbin Burns, the Giants didn't. The Giants got an amazing ballpark. They have a historically significant brand. But man, there's not an awful lot of there when you look at them. Every other team has a legitimate, well, there's the guy you put on the poster. That's the guy that's going to sell the tickets in the franchise. And if that guy, who is that guy on the Giants right now? There's a few guys that, you could pretend it's that guy. Chapman's awesome, but I don't know if Chapman's selling tickets. Verlander. Justin Verlander, it's going to be a very interesting end of Verlander's career. I wouldn't be surprised if he led the Giants in ERA or wins or something. I bet you he has a really good year, but at his age, there's not a lot of there beyond this year. And it feels like you got to be playing for 2-3 years beyond this year right now if you're the Giants. Third place feels like what they're shooting at. Third place. They'd be lucky to finish third in the National League West. Buster Posey changed my mind. Buster Posey, I dare you to change my mind. We'll see if you do or don't. But the Giants feel like, just spinning wheels, going through the motions, but not really traveling in any significant direction. And here's the deal. I don't mind if part of your strategy is bottoming out. And that brings us to the one team that is actually in a natural, this makes sense spot in their competitive life cycle. And that's the San Jose Sharks. The San Jose Sharks are a bad hockey team right now, but they're supposed to be because it was intentional. They bottomed out to get Macklin Celebrini, who is an interesting, really good young rookie that you do want to build a franchise around, and it's going to take years to build this thing back up, but they are behaving in a normal, natural, this is the way you tear it down to build it back up. This is how teams are supposed to function. I don't think you can be mad as a Sharks fan. As a matter of fact, as bad as they are, and the Sharks are worse than the 49ers, the Warriors, or the Giants, but the Sharks are at least pointed in the right direction. I don't know if you can say either one of those teams I mentioned before the Sharks is officially pointed in the right direction, because directionless seems to be the direction they're traveling in. I get what the Sharks are doing. I see what the Sharks are doing. Their smart fans totally are picking up what they're putting down. And call me in a couple years. We'll tell you what the Sharks are doing in a couple of years from now. Then the results will matter. But this is tearing it down to build it back up, and I got no problem with it, man. I got no problem. The Sharks, no problems with what you're doing at all. By the way, whenever we see a super, we stop. And Rob, thank you very much, Rob, saying Warriors trading for role players is fine. Trading for a superstar and going into the tax is not fine. If all else fails, play for the lottery. I mean, yeah, there are ways to do this. There are ways to do this. You know, no one's asking the Warriors to mortgage the entire future. But here's the thing. If you're not willing to give a little something for a clearly undefined future, what you need to do is have that big boy conversation that nobody wants to have. And that's talking about trading Steph Curry, who is still absolutely awesome and could get a huge return. And you want to talk about breathing life back into your franchise instead of watching it die on the vine? That would be the hardest, most painful way to do it. But it would also be the most effective way to do it. You know, I know when my Curry maybe needs to be traded video comes out and then he hits a game winner, like that video never does well, but this is big boy talk. You know, get your dick out of your heart and, you know, think about what's best. If the Warriors aren't going to go out of their way to get the most out of Steph Curry's final years, you get the most out of Steph Curry's final bit of value, either in your own win column or making sure your win column looks better in the future with the big bad trade that nobody wants to talk about. This brings us to Cal and Stanford. The Calgorithm had a fun month during college football season. It did. Calgorithm had a moment there, but that moment ended quickly. Berkeley had its moment with game day. That was a great day for Berkeley. Unfortunately, the Miami Hurricanes ended up winning that game. There's nothing but pain at the end of football games for Cal fans. And that was reflected once again, where after you beat Stanford and your quarterback is talking about how he wants to be at Cal forever, what happened was Fernando Mendoza decided forever sounded more like a transfer portal. And what Cal loses is Damon's gain because he transferred to Indiana. So sorry, Cal fans. But I'm going to tell you right now, the football that he plays at Indiana will resonate so much more in the community as mattering than any amount of college football will ever resonate as mattering in the Bay Area community, because the Bay Area has voted on college sports and the vote has returned. Nobody really gives a shit. I don't know why. I'll never really understand it. I don't get it. I don't get why Stanford and Cal are literally forever dead on arrival sporting topics here in the Bay Area, but they are. Now, Cal can capture an inkling of attention and imagination. Stanford cannot. It's as if, I'll tell you, I hear more about the San Jose Earthquakes than I do Stanford football or basketball or anything. You know, Stanford just, it might as well not even exist because it hardly exists here in the Bay Area. I'll never understand that. Again, I hear more about the San Jose Earthquakes than I do the Stanford Cardinal, and it's maybe similar to what you hear about Cal. I used to talk to Bruce Jenkins about Cal being the sleeping giant of the Bay Area, and he's a huge Cal alum, and he would love to be able to sell that, but he's like, yeah, I don't know. More people would lean into Cal doing something, going to a bowl game, than Stanford going to a bowl game. I mean, my God, I was on the Stanford flagship station when they were going to freaking, Fiesta Bowls with Jim Harbaugh. Not a single phone call. Nobody gave a shit. I'll never understand that. I really won't. I'll never understand that one. So it's a brutal time. It's a brutal time here in Bay Area sports, and that brings us to the single most abused fan base on the planet. The worst decade of psychological torture I've ever seen a fan base have to go through, and that's the A's. By the way, rocking a little, hold on, Last Dive Bar. Friends at the Last Dive Bar. FJF. John Fisher, you suck. There's nothing left to even cry about. Like Ricky Henderson passed away, and that severed any and all emotional ties I will feel now for the A's. It sucks, man. It just sucks. So, you want to talk about the Raiders? That ship is totally sailed. So it's just a rough time in Bay Area sports. There's no doubt. The city of Oakland has had it rough. Right now, the city of San Francisco might still have its teams, but its teams aren't competing nearly like they used to. And it's rough out there. It's rough out there. That's why I'm thinking outside the box and saying things out loud like no Warrior fan wants to hear, and, think about trading Steph Curry. Again, either give him what he needs to compete now, or use him for what you need to compete later. Sometimes sports isn't about holding hands and kumbaya. Sometimes you got to make tough decisions, and it feels like the Warriors can't bring themselves to make tough decisions that could intrude. Like, to me, if, Andrew Wiggins is a tough trade, it's a tough decision. If that's going to paralyze you, obviously you don't have the guts to ever do a deal on Curry. You can't bring yourself to trade Andrew Wiggins or Draymond or Kuminga. But look, since January 1st, in 6 games that the Warriors have played since January 1st, Steph has been north of 30 3 different times. He's been north of 25 in 5 of those 6 games. He's got 6 or more rebounds in 5 of those games. He's shooting 45% or better from 3 in 4 of those games. He has had a steal in every one of those games. Steph Curry is screaming, get me some help, or figure out a way to use what I have left to restock your own cupboard. And even though he's not saying that, I'm saying that. Curry still has a staggering amount of value, but I'm telling you, he's a twisted knee, an ankle, an MCL away from having very little. It's rough. It's rough out there. The only other thing that I heard today that I guess is newsworthy, and this is a video that I'm going to have coming out. I didn't just tape with JT the Brick. I did that yesterday. We were going to do a live stream, but then that had to get canceled, pushed back for a taped interview. I got one with JT the Brick coming out, and if you're a Raiders fan, he is singing an awful lot about Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson apparently had a long interview with the Raiders, and Tom Brady, grilled him. And apparently the Raiders as an organization are saying to themselves, Ben Johnson is the guy. All systems go on Ben Johnson, to the point where Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, is saying that a massive eye-popping contract is about to be put in front of Johnson the minute that the Lions season is over, if it's not there already, and that the contract for him to be a first-time head coach is going to be so massive and overwhelming, it's going to rub like other teams the wrong way. All right. This is what the Browns did with Deshaun Watson. They spent so much money on Deshaun Watson that it rubbed other owners the wrong way. Now, what do bad teams do all the time? Enter into bad contracts. But remember, look, they had a decade deal with John Gruden that was built to fail, but they got out of the John Gruden business because of emails almost instantly. The Raiders should have had more conviction, said, look, we're not firing John Gruden, offensive emails or not, screw everybody. But they didn't. They pussied up. They fired John Gruden, and now they're in a what is next mode. What is next mode? Ben Johnson, incredibly interesting, alluring, number one candidate on the board. If he goes to Las Vegas, we all know that there is a greater mathematical percentage that he is fired within 4 years than he is in the playoffs in any year. Because that's just the way the Raiders roll. Whatever is a good idea and whatever is the big new plan today is changed within 2 seasons all the time because of Mark Davis. If Tom Brady can stabilize that, then get Tom Brady the hell out of the broadcasting booth and make him the de facto new owner of the Raiders. Fine. Whatever gets him out of the booth, I'm good with it. But as long as Mark is the puppet master, the Raiders are permanently spinning their wheels too. One other thing to let you know about today in an otherwise short show. Jillian is coming back. I got to go pick her up from the airport here. But I love a good sports factoid, especially when it promises to maybe predict a little future. Here's a good one for you, because everybody, myself included, I think that there's always one road team that wins in the divisional weekend. We got 4 games, usually 3 home teams take care of their business at home, but one team goes on the road and picks up a win. I've got the Los Angeles Rams as the team most likely to win a road game in the divisional against the Eagles. I like the Rams. But this is kind of interesting about the Eagles. The Eagles are now the second team since the merger to finish with the NFL's rushing leader and the number 1 defense remaining in football. The only other team to do that, to have the number 1 total defense and the NFL's rushing leader, the only other team to have both of that on one team, on one sideline, on the same season, was the 1992 Dallas Cowboys, who had that sick defense and obviously Emmitt Smith right in the middle of his prime. That team won the Super Bowl. So we'll see if the Eagles can join the Dallas Cowboys in an otherwise class photo of one. Little causation, little correlation, I don't know. But, Eagles at home, that's tough business. I'm not saying the Rams got an easy one waiting for them, but I think the Rams could get that game. And there you go. You ready for a little history today? You ready for a little history lesson? Very interesting day in history for you. Let me tell you what I love about this, what I love about being here on YouTube is on a day where, we could keep spinning our own wheels and just drag you through hour after hour of content. I'm not wasting your time. Today's a slow day. Today's not a lot going on, so we're not going to waste your time. The show normally goes about an hour. Today, it's going to go about a half an hour. It doesn't need to go much longer. Why? Because there isn't that much to frickin' talk about right now. We'll see if the Warriors make a trade. I know that we got an NFL draft that's officially coming our way soon enough. I want to thank every one of you. Thank you not just to the sponsors, not just to those who have hit like and subscribe today, but I want to thank every one of you who has contributed to our now official 10 million views. I've said it was coming. It has officially arrived. Yesterday, this channel crossed the 10 million lifetime views mark. That is an incredibly teensy-weensy, tiny little humble number for some YouTube channels. But for me, you can only get to 10 million one time the first time. And it took 2 years, and that's about right. That's about, I think, where it should be. And I, here's to at least 10 million more. Here's to at least 10 billion more. My God, we need to keep this puppy growing. So thanks to everyone. Thanks to everyone. and all of your eyeballs and all of your clicks and all of your likes and all of your subs and all of your memberships. It's meant an awful lot, and we're growing, baby. We're officially growing. All right. Today in history, I want to take you right into the room where it happened. The room where it happened. The room where it happened. Happy birthday, Lin-Manuel Miranda. He gave us Hamilton, for goodness sakes. Apparently, he also did the lyrics for Moana, which is big in our house. Don't know if he's involved in Moana 2. Probably. Why wouldn't he be? That Disney money's nice. Those checks cash. 45. Man, Lin-Manuel Miranda's done an awful lot at the age of 45. Happy birthday as well to two absolutely beautiful women. They're also thin. Happy birthday to Kate Moss, who helped usher in the heroin chic modeling era. She is now 51 years old. I've never thought, I like curvy women. Never was a big Kate Moss guy, but beautiful in the face. There's no doubt about that. And happy birthday to a woman who I think is almost now officially challenging Christy Brinkley for gorgeous in every year of life. Christy Brinkley is living, I think, arguably the most beautiful life ever lived. From like the day she was, a model at 18 years old to now Christy Brinkley is, I think, 80 years old or something like that. And she's still an absolute fox, like one of the most gorgeous life ever lives. One of the smoothest voices in music history. And I just saw a picture of her today. She turned 66 years old today, and there's still not a wrinkle on this woman's face. Happy 66th birthday to Sade, the sweetest taboo. Sade, what a smooth voice she had. One of the best. One of the absolute best. By the way, Christy Brinkley is 70. There we go. Did I say 80? All right, Christy. There you go. Anyway, Sade, Smooth Operator. Great song. I mean, go listen to Smooth Operator right now. That song was recorded in a long time ago. It still carries weight. Great song. Oh, here we go. Smooth Operator. Indeed, Otis. Smooth Operator. E. Scott Burns. See, we know. Smooth Operator. Sam Bruno Mike. Hey, man, National Lampoon, Christy Brinkley, smoking. Yeah, she's hotter than the Ferrari she was driving. No doubt. Nailed it. Sade Smooth. What a voice she has. Today, speaking of hot, today is National Hot and Spicy Food Day. I like hot food. I like spicy food, not to the point where it becomes a dare and is enough to ruin your palate for the remainder of the day, but I like good hot spicy food, so happy Spicy Food Day to everybody. Today in 1547, we're going way back, and we're going across the pond all the way to Mother Russia. Today, Ivan the Terrible was crowned the Tsar and Grand Prince of all of Russia today in 1547. So, Ivan the Terrible, we see you. We recognize you. You must have really been an SOB to be given the nickname Ivan the Terrible. Today in 1920, and by the way, not only are we celebrating our good friend Barry from Memphis's birthday today, we needed another bottle of whiskey and another bottle pull to let you know that today in 1920, the 18th Amendment, prohibition, alcohol made illegal in the United States. That happened today in 1920, and it was done a year later. Everyone's like, yeah, let's give up booze. And then they gave up booze, and everyone's like, no, let's not do that. Cheers to prohibition ending. It started today, but it's over, baby. We're all back now. Ha 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 ha. Yeah. Woo. Prohibition. Screw you. Today in 1936, down at Hialeah in Florida at a racetrack, the very first photo finish camera was installed at a U.S. racetrack. So you could basically say, in some way, today in 1936, instant replay was invented. Kind of, right? I mean, a photo finish, that's a replay. We're going to the tape on this one. Replay has become an overused, unwelcome house guest in sports. I'm ready to get replay out of the entirety of Major League Baseball's regular season. I am ready to take replay out of the entirety of the NBA's regular season. Let's put them in play for postseason games, but there's enough basketball and there's enough baseball to where it'll all come out in the wash, and we don't need to be slowing the final 3 minutes of a game down to go check sideline out of bounds bullshit. It's insane. Now, there's so few football games that we need replay throughout the regular season. We get it, but at least start using it correctly. My God. Replay in college, again, the officials are so bad. We need it there too, but I'm over replay. Like, it was a really good idea until it got misused. And now I'd just rather go back to living with human error than all these replay delays, for goodness sakes. Happy anniversary to Paul and Linda McCartney, who today in 1984 were famously arrested in Barbados for possession of marijuana. You see, kids, marijuana used to be illegal, and they tried to get Paul McCartney in prison for it. And the Paul McCartney presser outside of the Barbados airport, where he's talking about being arrested for weed, is one of the coolest SOB. I'm dealing with the media. I'm not ashamed of this. It's like he does everything but basically say, you know what? I'm a fucking Beatle, and I'm going to do what I want to do, and you're going to let me because I'm Paul McCartney. Now, he's too nice and he's too lovable and he talks like this, and Paul would never be that intrusive. But I mean, it's just awesome. It's basically Paul McCartney saying, like, yeah, we're in Barbados. I like weed. We're on vacation. Everyone relax a little, would you please? That's what I'm talking about. I will agree with you this, though, Smiley Dan. I just saw this. I love the IBM commercials that were "you make the call." Those were the best. That's what trained us to determine replay so quickly. Seriously, on Saturday morning. They put us through the I would be the best replay official in America, by the way. There's a job I should pick up on the side. I will give you definitively 100% accurate replay assessments within 20 seconds or less. It always takes the replay official in Secaucus 3 times as long as me on my couch to determine with great accuracy what the hell just happened in that replay. Finally, I believe they've officially had more than 10 million views since they've launched. Today in 2007, entertainment changed forever when Netflix officially launched as a streaming service, and entertainment on television has not been the same since. When we talk about differences in the way we consume media and how much it's changed and how rapidly it's evolved, Netflix is right in the center of that conversation. I mean, it was one thing to threaten a media empire by using snail mail to mail CDs. The second this turns into, oh, I can just push a button and I get that show on my TV, that was it. That was the game changer. That changed everything right there. So happy birthday to Netflix, streaming service born today in 2007. And folks, that is today's show. The reason why we started late, by the way, I'll tell you here. If you made it to the end of the show, you get to find out why we started late today for you live streamers out there. I was taping with Hall of Famer Tony La Russa. He's got an animal rescue event coming up in the Bay Area. We're going to help him sell some tickets and raise some awareness for that. But we also obviously talked to Tony about the passing of Ricky Henderson. And sadly, the news this morning that Major League Baseball lost Bob Uecker. And that's how we're going to wrap up today's show, because today in history, baseball became a less interesting, less funny, less charming entity with the passing of Bob Uecker. Bob Uecker was a treasure to the game of baseball. Just a treasure. A diplomat, a historian, an ambassador for the game, a Hall of Famer, a Frick Award winner, just an all-around great guy. Everybody attached to Major League Baseball has a Bob Uecker story, and not one of them ever paints Bob in bad light. Not one of them. So we want to thank Bob Uecker for all of his seasons in the booth in Milwaukee, for all the seasons that he spent on Mr. Belvedere. Bob Uecker, not a lot of guys can pull off the announcer, TV sitcom actor, movie star, movie cameo star trifecta the way that Uecker did. And hopefully, now that he's at the pearly gates, those 2 tickets in the front row are officially waiting for him. So rest in peace, Bob Uecker. Baseball is officially less interesting without you. There's no doubt about that. Thanks to everyone for watching today. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. I want to thank all of our sponsors, as always, one more time, because we could not do it without them. My man Ike of Ike Sandwiches, best sandwich in the game, and hopefully you are somewhere around where you can order an Ike sandwich. Sign up for that Ike's Rewards app. You get a free sandwich when you do, and the perks are many, including being entered to win a trip to New Orleans to go to a very large football game that will be played there in February. Thanks to our good friends at the Dubliner West Portal for all they do to support this channel as well. Thank you very much to BetUS for sponsoring our live stream today. Use promo code YouTube150 when you sign up for a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000. And thanks to all of you. Keep your eyes on the channel. A really interesting divisional preview coming out soon with JT the Brick. We're going to get into Raiders conversation with him as well. An interview with Tony La Russa coming up as well. So lots around the corner here on the Plus. Thank you for being part of the 10 million who have viewed what we're doing over here already. It means an awful lot. Have yourself a great Thursday. And please do remember that sports don't build character. They reveal it. And like that, he's gone.